Well, today is December 6th, and the SEC is quickly running out of time, as today is a big deadline that they have to respond to Judge Netburn's request that they have to explain exactly what they mean when they're suing Ripple. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what they have to answer and what I think is unfortunately going to happen. But I could be wrong. Not only that, we're about 2 days away from another deadline, and I'm going to tell you about it in this video. Also, the big story over the weekend was the big Bitcoin flash crash. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, as it's no surprise now if you've been in crypto for any time, Bitcoin can hit a 20% drawdown at literally any time. And it always hits at the worst possible time. Well, I'm going to tell you what happened, why it happened, and what's likely to go on from here. I've been watching a lot of analysis over this, and there's a lot of people saying that Bitcoin's going to go one direction, and there's a few more people saying that it's going to go the other direction. I'm going to let you know who's saying what. And the XRP community is one of the strongest communities in all of crypto, and if you've been following this channel or other XRP community channels, you would know that. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly why, and it has to do with why the XRP ledger was actually choking last week and how it was resolved, and how that could actually help Ripple's case against the SEC. Also, some quick updates on the Sologenic app, as well as a few other apps that run on the XRP ledger. Hey everyone, my name is Randy, and welcome back to the Lengthening Grind. And right now on this channel, I'm covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all those topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, and if you would do two things. Number one, smash that thumbs up button. Number two, watch this video all the way to the end. Those are the two best things that you can do to support a YouTube channel. So if you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, let's jump into it. So first thing I'm going to talk about is the Bitcoin price crash, because in the crypto space, that affects everything. Literally every coin is affected by the price action of Bitcoin, and it's going to be like that for quite some time. So this is no different. What happened over the weekend? Well, late Friday night, during a time when Bitcoin is actually the most illiquid, meaning there's actually the least amount of Bitcoin on exchanges that are actually participating in trades, once a price hit a certain point, there are people called leveraged longs, or people essentially taking loans out, borrowing money, betting that the price of Bitcoin is going to go up. And when the price goes down enough, because they've borrowed enough money to bet against that, well, they get liquidated, basically where an exchange takes all of their existing Bitcoin and sells it at market price. Well, when that happens, the price usually goes lower as it fills other Bitcoin buyers' buy orders that they set at lower prices, thinking it will hit those prices. And sometimes it does. And when that happens, those leverage longs get liquidated, they lose all of their Bitcoin, and the price drops dramatically. What happens then? Well, it continues and has essentially a cascading effect, and it did that all the way down to 42,500. I actually watched a video that said there was one exchange where it went below 40,000 to 39,000 and change for a brief minute before wicking back up. Right now, as I'm making this video, Bitcoin has surged back above 50,000. I believe it actually touched 50,500, and I believe, along with some others, that the price is going to continue to climb, and that this price action was actually necessary for Bitcoin to actually climb higher, because the open interest in Bitcoin was so high. In fact, I've been following Will Clement on Twitter, who is an on-chain analyst, and he tweets out a lot of this kind of stuff that I follow, specifically the on-chain metrics. And the open interest, meaning the people that are essentially betting, those interests were at its highest peak in about 2 months. Well, a lot of that is leveraged. And when too much of it is leveraged, it becomes too much of a bubble. And so without him actually saying it, and I've seen a few other analysts say the same thing, there essentially needs to be a lot of that over-leveraged type betting liquidated or eliminated for the price of Bitcoin to go up in a solid organic manner. So a lot of people believe that Bitcoin continues this bull run, and that this is just another way of getting the gamblers out of the system and the true investors back in. So we're going to continue to see that, and if you're following just the price of XRP, you're probably wondering what in the world happened. Well, that's what happened, and it affects the price of XRP. And if you're a really smart trader, maybe you had a buy order for XRP in the 65 to 70 cent range, you would have gotten filled. You would have gotten a 65 to 70 cent XRP. Good for you. And at this point, I think it's really pointless to talk about the price of XRP until the case versus the SEC is over, and especially when Bitcoin is in its extremely volatile timeframes. And speaking of XRP, the XRP ledger last week was having some volume issues. It was essentially choking on some volume that people found out was essentially just a bunch of spam. And by spam, I mean there were people actually creating all kinds of junk tokens that they were essentially using the XRP ledger to airdrop or airdropping onto the XRP ledger. And they were doing it by dropping literally hundreds of billions of tokens at a time onto the XRP ledger, and they were doing it to their 2 nodes. That is 2 full history nodes that the XRP ledger runs on. Well, when there's too much volume on those nodes, things just get choked. That's what happened. So, what did the XRP community do? Well, there's a Twitter user known as Whiteswind that I've been following, and he is a part of the XRP Labs team that developed the Zoom wallet, the XUMM wallet. Some call it SUM. I really don't know. In any case, they came together and they said the best way to actually make the XRP ledger stronger is, of course, for the community to support it by doing a couple of things. Essentially, they could do this by spinning up more full history nodes, in which XRP Labs team put together a donation page, which you could then donate and essentially what they call adopt a node. This would allow them to spin up even more full history nodes. As of right now, in the last week, they've managed to collect over $130,000 worth of donations from the XRP community to spin up 5 full history nodes. That's a year's worth of expenses for 5 full history nodes. And in his words, this just demonstrates the power of the XRP community, and it also demonstrates the decentralized nature of the XRP ledger. This very, very strongly comes against what the SEC and what some of the people in the crypto community wrongly assert about the XRP ledger. They say it's centralized. Well, this pretty much proves otherwise. Because if it was centralized, if Ripple had any control over the ledger and exactly how it functions at this point, they would have done something. But Ripple did nothing. I mean, literally, absolutely nothing. So what did the rest of the community do? The people that develop apps and the people that support the ledger? Well, they developed a solution and they're executing on that solution. If this was a centralized structure, it would not happen like that. It wouldn't function like that at all. This proves even more beyond a shadow of a doubt that the XRP ledger, and thus XRP, is of course one of the most decentralized projects in all of crypto. Although it does bring into consideration how much money is actually floating around some of the teams within Ripple, and why couldn't they actually just kind of donate and spin up some of their own full history nodes, or at least pay the price for it. But then again, I guess that might look bad if you're trying to claim that XRP ledger is decentralized, and you'd have some of the executives funding the expense for new full history nodes to have it operate better. But the community's doing it, so I guess it looks better. I don't know. But nonetheless, Ripple really didn't do anything. And now finally on to the big important news today, because today is a big deadline, December 6th. This is the date that the SEC has to report back to Judge Netburn on a couple of things. Because in their lawsuit against Ripple, they claim that the sales of XRP constitutes essentially a sales and investment contract. And they say those investment contracts that were actually generated, the SEC is claiming that in there is, of course, a promise or an expectation of profit. And of course, the SEC says it's based on the efforts of Ripple. Well, the SEC has to explain that. And of course, the SEC has these sales contracts of XRP from back in the early days, and they have to explain to the judge where in these contracts an expectation of profit comes from, because it's not in there. And they have to explain how it's based on the work of Ripple, because again, it's not in there. So we're really looking forward to what the SEC has to say. Their deadline is today. My guess is that they're going to come up with something that says it's privileged. All of their discussions wrapped around this are privileged, which of course brings me to my next date. December 8th is a date in which both the SEC and Ripple have to submit some letters to the judge to explain why they think the SEC should turn over certain documents, I think including this explanation, and that it should not be a privileged log or privileged documents. And I may make a video for shortly after this one, depending on when the SEC actually answers that. And if you want to follow really closely, you can jump on Twitter, follow my account, as well as James K. Filan, who is usually the #1 guy on top of things in terms of documentation and the motions and the responses and everything technically that is going on in this case. And some quick updates that I have for you. Based on what happened with the XRP ledger last week, some of the applications that are running on the XRP ledger had to make some updates to run a little more smoothly. So if you use the Zoom wallet, XUMM, if you use the Zoom wallet, they have now released an update. You can go and download the update to that wallet, as well as the Sologenic wallet. They actually did this a couple of days ago. I mentioned it on my last video. They offered an update. Go update it. You should be able to have it function a lot better than it was previously with their fix installed. But let me know in the comment section below what you think the SEC is going to actually respond with, and if they're actually going to respond by the end of the day, because, well, this has just been a case where they've largely ignored what the judge has ordered them to do pretty much this entire case. And if you want to let me know your thoughts on what this Bitcoin market's actually going to do, is Bitcoin going to go up? Is Bitcoin going to go down in the next couple of months? Time's only going to tell, but I'd love to hear your opinions. Once again, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video and for giving it a big thumbs up. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.